All right, what's going on, everyone? Supreme Kami here. So we are going to be reviewing for these two units over here, the Unicorn Perfectibility and then the High Noon Gundam version Cow here. So, man, I don't know what they were doing with these two units over here because power creep is again this big power creep with these two folks over here. Both of these are actually shop build based, so I was originally trying to compare between these two, and I also have some other recommendation because you guys seem to like to have like secondary options and whatnot. So I do have that on the left hand side for your if you guys do want to know like, all right, what other parts can I use besides these, right? So all right, so let's get going with the unicorn to begin with. So the unicorn does have some parts over here, so we're gonna quickly just go through because I know this review is gonna be long, like like most of these review are like within like I want to say like 25 to 30 minutes. So I'm gonna try to get through it as soon as possible. But I think the most important question is, do you guys want to summon on diesel unit? We do know that 2 year anniversary is coming already, like rapidly. Like there's already campaign for that already. So should you guys save or summon for diesel right now? I would say if you are someone who like diesel unit, I mean I guess you can summon over because it's always best to summon for something you like, or rather for something or rather for summoning on something that is, oh, look at this part had the highest stat, let me summon for that. I don't think that's gonna be too healthy because what we're really looking at over here is gonna be like chasing the top place, like what is gonna be the highest stat if possible, right? Because most I would say 90% of the player base cannot really do that because, for one, you guys, like a lot of people don't really pay money into this game, so that is going to be one factor over there, right? So if you guys are not someone who spend hundreds of dollars every week, I think going for something that you like is a more plausible option instead of like, ooh, let me get trying to get the highest stat parts, right? So if you guys someone who like unicorn, I think unicorn does look aesthetically pleasing. Um, but like I said, we are able to recreate that plus or minus like the backpack. You can recreate like the whole perfectibility, no problem already. In just a backpack, you will not get the Banshee nor armor XC. That's only one factor into it. That's for the high new Gundam Persian Ka. I mean, like it's really the same thing as we had. Like we got the high new the high new HWS version Ka already, so we can kind of live with that version. I mean, it's totally fine, right? We also do have the new Gundam non-version card of that. I mean, we already have these units in game multiple times already, so them re-releasing it, it's just in a power creep base over here, which we'll get to real quick. So, in terms of stat for Unicorn Head, it is a swallow over here. Pretty good. You do come in at 11k. So if you're talking about modern headpiece, like if you're not looking at after the change here, if you're not looking at 10,000, 11,000, you're not you're it's either you get 11,000 headpiece or you get out. That's it. So they're what they're trying to do, they're like progressively increasing every shot build space head like this, like these two, because these two are like the alpha units, so they gotta give it the premium stat. So that is why they're this over here. This one I would say is pretty good, not bad. Do coming at fourth over here. Um, I think previous week we have the straight no name. That head is like the highest stat, but that one does have an EX skill, so you're not gonna be using that. So, in terms of the portrait over here, this is a pretty excellent portrait over here. This one is when you have Ace exclusive active, you're gonna get EX skill power boosted by 30%, not too bad. And then the second portrait is locked to a T build, so this is not going to be the most versatile ever just because you are locked to a T build, unfortunately. If you are someone who is trying to work on a T build, I think this one will be a pretty good option. But I think it's always best to go for something that is a little bit more lenient in terms of condition. I think forcing a a specific like it like having this, like the first trait is good, like just having that because you will always be running Ace exclusive no matter what. But just having that little teeny tiny restriction can be critical at some points. So in terms of tags over here, you're looking at high firepower and Ace exclusive. Not too bad, not too bad. But is this something you want to summon on? I think your opinion might change once you get to the High New Gundam, because High New Gundam, actually comes with commander tag, and that commander tag is one of the more profound tag you want to run in a shop build nowadays, because you can kind of pair that up with like the three-star gear which will immensely increase your power stat by a long shot. So I think if you talk about, or which one is the more, if you have the summon on, I think the high noon gundam would be the better case scenario, because like the tags in the unicorn is the generic. You have ace exclusive 5 power, and then they did also throw in a pro tag, because this is one of those units you can kind of do like both, because you guys have seen the stat. The melee stat is not too bad actually. I would say it's hovering around average, base average. That's why you can kind of use it in both build if you choose so. All right, in terms of the torso, can I click on it? In terms of the torso, and then as for like any of these part over here, like for the chest, if you're not using a chest that is coming around 5k or even 6k, your torso is kind of trash, right? That's the gimmick over here nowadays. Like if you're not rocking 5k or 6k, you don't go for something else. But that is not always the case, best case scenario, because it's always good to look at the portrait. I think, like I have stated many times, the portrait is the most important part of any build. So I think just having a good portrait is good enough already. I think chasing stat is kind of like redundant at times, because every other week or every week I would say like, oh, this portrait has the high stat. What, like you can never chase with a high stat, right? That's not plausible. So in terms of the chest over here, we do have one of this premium EXQ cooldown reduced by 20%. So these are always going to be viable. But the first portrait is again locked to a T build, which is not the best case scenario. Like I have noticed they have been pushing for T builds for quite some time already. Starting with the straight no name, and then I believe our build project new HWS is also a T build. Yeah, it's also a T build, so they are kind of pushing that a little bit too much, I would say, and then just locking it onto this is not gonna be the best case scenario. The chest is coming barely as 5k over here, so even if you look at 5k chest, that is not the best. Yeah, this kind of explains the whole situation over here. But just this chest over here, I would say it is used in a more in a different scenario, because you have the CD builds CD reduction. So this I would say is used more in a one of those like trying to go for that 100% cooldown builds. I think this chest is more for that. I wouldn't say you will use this on a normal like, oh, like a powerhouse build. Like if you guys have seen my powerhouse build, I don't use this kind of I don't use this kind of EX skill or portrait. I use one of those that are strictly shooting power or EX power, and then one initial charge. So that's my setup. I would not run this in my powerhouse. I will run this on like a 100% like a general CD build. And then with like a general CD build, there are a lot more better parts with like standard parts. So those would cover it instead of these premium parts over here. I mean, this is not telling you not to get this one. I'm just saying the usability, it kind of differs. So that's that over here. All right, moving on to the arm over here. As for the arm, I didn't really give any like recommendation for like, or what is something else you want to use, because this one does have an EX skill. So if any EX skill you want to subslot that to a portrait, so I don't think, I mean the stat that's gonna matter. You are looking at 5,500, which is pretty good. Coming in at 4th place over here, but you do have an EX skill over here, so it is gonna give you a little more restriction over here. That means you have to pair it up with a pretty good set of arm. But they have not been really releasing any good portrait arms, so I think the only one I can really think of is gonna be the Legends arm. But that one is locked to a T or to a S build, so it's not gonna be too beneficial if, for say, you're running like a P to S, P to T. So this one is the EX skill over here, the Perfect Blue. So this one is gonna use multiple armor over here. But this one is going to be a little bit let down, just because it's not going to give any other effects, just a strict attack raise by 49%. So this is, I would say, we have gotten a few of these kind of EX already. Like you can kind of look at the 4-arm unicorn. I think in that perspective, that kind of does the same thing. You can also look at the Recycle Chest Breaker EXQ. That one is the build project, so 99% of the player base will not have it. So that is just a little bit unfortunate. But you can also look at the narrative Gundam C packs. That one does have a different mechanics where it's only going to be 8 power, but like I said, there are different options. Whether or not you want this. Wait, did I? Oh, I forgot to mention the Banshee. The Banshee arm does have EX skill as well, so there are tons of options over here. Before say you want this kind of EX skill, it's gonna be like there's obviously more option, right? As for the stat, premium stat coming at a 5k, not too bad. Like if you have a look at throughout the parts, like you are hovering around like that 5k ish over here, except the leg you're looking at 4k, which is it's whatever, right? You can't really ask for too much, to be honest. All right, in terms of the leg over here, you are looking at a protect and high firepower. So this is meant to be a both like a dual build over here, using like a melee and shot to be combined. Because if you look at this kind of portrait or EXQ over here, you do have 2 melee EXQ and then 1 shot EXQ over here. So this is more for like intended dual builds. But in terms of the leg, what can we deal with over here? Okay. Again, this is locked to T build, so this is not too good just because of this restriction. And the second portrait is locked to your arm EX skill, so that is a double negative in my opinion. I think this is like you kind of like tied down to like this is what you can use it on. If you per se you want to do another build, it's not going to be too viable. So this because of this two condition, I think just based on my experience, I don't think this is anything too good. So we can kind of skip the leg, you know. All right, in terms of the backpack, I think a lot of people were kind of disappointed because the EX skill is just the armor DX over here, the defensive extension. This one is gonna be all right. If you are someone who pull the backpack and you want to ask what I want to alterate it, the answer is you don't have to. Just because at base this one, this is not the opposite where pre-alteration is like a A pierce and D power. This is already coming in at B plus power before alteration, so I think just jumping like a power grade up, I don't think it's gonna make too much of a difference. Even like the ratio attack by 15%, it doesn't change. So if you do have this as like a non-alteration, I think it will just work just as fine. But I think the question is, do you want to put this on like a EX skill as your skin for EX skill, or do you want to put this on your main build? Because you do look at pretty high stacking over here. This one does come in at 5,100. But in terms of the portrait over here, yeah, you know the deal. Protect and high firepower. So this is, like I said again, this is intended for more like a dual build setup over here. So this really depends. Would I want to alterate it? Probably not, because I personally have the Phoenix backpack already, and that one, the Phoenix EXE looks 10 times better than this. This one is a melee funnel. If you guys do not know already, this one, 2 of the backpack armor DX, this is gonna fly out of your unit, and then it's just gonna, I believe, in like the Twitter review for the animation, I think it hits your opponent for about 6 times. So actually 3 times. So because you have two funnels, right? So this is more on the same power level, or on the power like output damage, just like the Moon Gundam. Because if you guys have known, like the Moon Gundam also does have a melee funnel. Melee funnel does actually for whatever reason hits harder than like shot funnel. So that is like I don't know, but I think an archery version of this is just fine in my opinion. I think just having this A minus. Does it go up to like an A? No, it stays at A minus, so it's not gonna be it's not gonna impact too much where you have like a significant difference in output, I would say. So you will ask me, the question to you is, do you want to put this in your main build or for your skin? So that is the question you have to decide for yourself. Just for the start, I say you can, but the tag is a little bit wonky over here. So alright, moving on to the beam javelin over here. We already have a beam javelin already coming from the full armor unicorn, but this one is coming in the form of a EX skill over here. So this one is going to be the hyper beam javelin. It's going to do a D and A minus power over here. Like I said, I think this one on the alteration is really perfect because you're probably not gonna put this on like your main build anyways, just because of the status. Nothing too impressive, I would say. Because I did compare this to a lance category melee weapon, so saber is always like the beam saber category or the saber category will always have the highest. Well, as of right now, we'll have the highest shot attack. So I don't think you want to be using this in your main build. So as for skin, I think just using it as a B power should be sufficient enough. I think wasting another 5, not wasting, but investing 5 alteration tool in something like in terms of power scaling that doesn't affect too much. I don't think it's necessary. So this one, an alteration B plus power is just fine enough. So they're continuing to trend to protect and high mobility, high firepower. So this is more for like a dual build, like I mentioned again. Alright, this gotta be like the 5th B magnet we have seen, and then let's see what this one packs. Okay, in terms of the portrait over here, the first portrait, this one is the initial charge boosted by 20%, but this one is locked to a high firepower, so there's nothing wrong with that. But I think high firepower and Gundam type are, I would say, in competition. We're trying to see which one that can kind of get the user to use. I personally use high firepower, and I would say Gundam type has a little bit more edge in terms of parts viability. I'm not that saying high firepower is not too good, but I think Gundam type in like most scenario has better ports to be kind of using. So I think high firepower may not be the best case scenario, but you're someone who uses high firepower as a tag, that's no problem for you. But the second portrait is a little bit of a letdown because only after 10 seconds has passed, then you get the shooting boost by 35%. So this is clearly designed for like a longer type of event. So if you want to take this on like a 1v1 or like a arena match, this one will not activate. So I think if you guys do want something that can activate immediately, I don't think this one is going to be the choice. But if you are someone who can live with a 10-second restriction, more of like using it for like a longer type event, I think that can be okay. But like I said, there are tons of better choices out there already, and I will have listed everything on the left hand side, so you guys can kind of decide or whether or not you have those part over there. So this will be it for the unicorn. So for the unicorn in a verdict, just a quick recap. I think the head is obviously a must-have if you guys are someone who is new and trying to build out a good like a good shot build. Definitely pretty excellent. But like I said, if you want to translate to like a P and S build, that is going to be a little bit restrictive. Just because you have a T attribute lock-in over here. 99% of these part over here, like you'll be looking at the torso, the leg, yeah, the leg. They are allowed to a T build specifically. So if you guys are someone who wants to run like different types of builds, you're not gonna get that out of here. So as for the EQ, I think that really depends on whether you want to put this on like a your main build or a skin. I think just because of looking at the stats, I think you can kind of argue you can do that. But like I said again, you're gonna have to subsidize something in conjunction to that. So we're gonna hop over to the High New Gundam and explain why I think the High New Gundam is the more superior one up the two over here. Alright, so we're gonna talk now about the High New Gundam over here. So if you guys have seen, I did actually prove with the High New Gundam solely. I didn't actually summon it for the Unicorn Gundam. Just because I think the High New Gundam having that command attack, I think in the long run will serve me more in terms of what I can use or what I can do with this unit better than the Unicorn can do. So let's just quickly take a look at the parts and see what we're doing over here. If you guys have seen the style like I have prepared in the Excel sheet, yeah, you see this is one of the more prominent units that have come out as of today. I think just earlier this week I was praying how good the Kasai Gundam is, and look at where we are right now. I think the Kasai Gundam kind of got power crap already in less than a month. Are you kidding me? Come on, man. Throw me a bone here. All right. So in terms of the High New Gundam version Ka, what can we? Why do I say this one is better? Bam! Look at that command attack. Command attack makes a shot unit in most cases they were 10 times better than not having it. Just because High New, not High New, command attack is really limited in terms of where you can get it. because standard parts doesn't really have a command attack that prominent. I think the only one I can pretty much think of as of right now is those warfare parts, and then H1 full Glanza. I think those are the ones that have command attack at this moment. In terms of like the only one you can pretty much find it is gonna be on these limited suits over here. In terms of the staff for the high new Gundam over here, you are ranked number 3. They're approaching that. I'm pretty sure next thing you know, we should be approaching that 12K mark already, and it's gonna be insane. But it's not gonna affect me as much. I do personally run a level 99 strike food and head, so I don't think anytime soon I will be replacing it. Okay, low battery again, right? So whenever they hit that mark where 12K head is a thing, and then at that point I think I might look into some other solution. But as of right now, I think Shredded Freedom head does cap out at 10,886. So it's only like a 300-ish difference in my opinion. I do have a level 99. If for example I do pull any one of these, I did pull the high new head. I don't think it's gonna be anything too concerning to me because that is a level 1. Because that is not something I can kind of get to level 10 like on a day 1. So what about it, right? So if you guys, like I said, you guys have parts that are more than just that base level 1 portrait or EXQ, use those because those are gonna be a little bit more better, right? Because you have invested your effort and time into it. So I think just continue to using those parts would be good already. So in terms of the high new head, well, Gundam EXQ charge boost by 20%. So they continue the trend with having more of these head parts, having the initial skill charge over here, which is not something that bad. I think this is a pretty good approach they're doing over here because in most shop build, I wouldn't say there's a lot of good option in terms of anywhere like any of the 9 parts having an initial charge over here. But in my opinion, like in my setup, I have my ICD as my beam saber. I think the beam saber, like the melee weapon, range weapon, I think those area I think just cover it good enough already for me. So if for example I were to run this head, I don't think I will need 40% charge unless I'm using like those really long first uses turn. Other than that, I think having one portrait of like just one singular portrait that covers the initial charge skill is good enough for me already. So in my opinion, I wouldn't run the high new head already because I have this spot covered already. So I think this is not to knock it down, but I'm just sharing from my perspective because I think having one initial charge already is good. Like one good 20% is good, right? But I think most case scenario, if you want to fully activate your cutscene EQ within, for say, like the first 5 seconds or even the first 3 seconds, I think having around 25 to 30 seconds or 30% is the good range. So I think having one or two of these is not the best, not too bad, but it just really depends on your build. Like over here, in terms of the second portrait, you are looking at rifle category. Your equip shooting power boosted by 35%, so these are pretty good. Like these two conditions are easy to activate. That's why I say Gundam type and high firepower or in like at war. Just trying to see which one they can make the user use, right? I think yeah, I would say Gundam type is a little bit more prominent than high firepower. But yeah, do let me know which one of those two you would use if you have to choose between, right? Alright, let's move on to the chest over here and see what are we doing. I think the chest is probably one of the better parts out of this set over here, and that is the part that I pull. Yeah, this one is breaking 6K over here, so it's gonna earn its place as rank number 2 for the time being. But having a high stat does have a high cost over here. These are two double restrictions over here, because you do have to run this on a S attribute, and then you have to be locked using a mid shooter over here, which is not the worst case scenario right now. But I think having the ability to be able to use long shooter at some event, I think will help out. So I think if you are going to be using this chest over here, like event that you have to use that you want to use long shooter, this one will come into hindrance already. I think the Kasai chest is good. That's the one I'm currently using, but I would say that portrait is a little bit more easier to use, a little bit more versatile. So in conjunction, I think sometimes having the high stat may not means the best thing because you are kind of restricted in the condition you can use it at. But in terms of the tag over here, you're looking at commander and gundam pad, which is two good trait over here, or good tag, excuse me. Alright, with any army I've seen for any shot builds, yes, they like you throwing like an E skill over here. So I have personally tested out the NR beam saber already. It's like a 3-piece combo. I think I would say if you are in close proximity of like multiple enemy, I think you can kind of do some kind of AoE. So this might be good. But this one, would you put this on like your main build? Judging by the stat, I will hold my take on this just because it's barely approaching about 5k. And barely approaching 5k, you're dropping down to top 20 already, which is I think is still amazing coming out from an arm over here. But I think we do have better options already, so I don't think this one is going to be the best case scenario. If you want to alterate it just with an EXQ, I think that is at your own cost of those 5 alteration tool. In terms of like whether or not you alterate this kind of EXQ, I think it's really depends on player to player whether or not they like this kind of EXQ over here. So that's my take on that. Alright, in terms of leg over here, I think the leg does have pretty decent stat, but I think the portrait is a bummer. Definitely one of the bummer part over here. We take a quick look over here. Like what? Like how far into the game where they would put a crit rate up for a what? Why on earth would you put a crit rate up for a limited time unit? What? Are you kidding me? And then the second portrait is limited to the S attribute, and this is to a close shot attack. So I would say any mid to long range attack is not going to be too effective. So this leg over here is a big bummer in general. So I think if you guys do pull the leg, I think your best case scenario is trying to find a second portrait. I mean as a sub slot. Trying to find a sub slot does have a good portrait, and then use that as a sub slot. This is not acceptable. Like we're like in May 2020, and they want to throw a crit rate up for like on these kind of parts over here. No, don't do that. Don't do that to us. In terms of the word tag over here, you look at Commander Federation. I mean Federation, I kind of get it. So you're gonna have to do some sub select with this one. Trying your best trying to get ace exclusive or get them tight onto that second slot over there. Other than that, I don't think the leg deserves alteration. Alright, moving on to the backpack over here. In terms of the stat, you are still looking pretty good. This one does have pretty high armor, so I think that's something I kind of forgot to mention. I think throughout the high noon Gundams, that's a pretty decent armor-ish, like hovering around that upper 4k, which is not too bad. So, in terms of the EX skill over here, this is the final combo over here. Keep things in mind, this is one of those casting EX skill or the 120-second cooldowns. EX skill that have a first time usage of like 12 seconds at base level 1. So, that's why you're not going to see that premium S power over here. Instead, you're going to see A power over here. So, I am preparing a video talking about whether or not A power casting EX skill does like. So basically, I did a comparison between S power casting EXQ compared to like the A power EXQ just to see what kind of difference we were looking at. I am preparing that video as of right now, so I think maybe tomorrow or the day after that should be released. So look forward to that as I just kind of do some comparison. In terms of the EXQ over here, you do get a let's see. So this EXQ is a rush EXQ, so this is not the regular version of the high noon Gundam where you have to rush into your enemy to activate. This one you kind of dash into your enemy and use it. So this one I think is better. I personally do like EXQ that's kind of rush into your enemy because like 50% of the time I kind of forgot like, oh, is this the EXQ rush or not? I think most custom EXQ are kind of rushing. There are a few exceptions like the double quantum, the high nude, the the non-version K one. Those you have to be in close proximity before you can use it. So I think those are more of like a counter casting E skill where I think you can kind of counter your enemy in what like when they activate their E skill. I think you can counter it in that manner. So I think that's why they're built differently. Yeah, they're literally built differently. In terms of this one, you do get raised attack by 49% to your squad, also raised defense by 24%. So this is a solid portrait or effects over here. But I think I would like to have like a little bit more. Just having like health recovery would be a little bit more better in general. But like I said, in terms of these kind of E skill, alterate it at your own risk or at your own like discretion, because I can't really recommend which one of the one you want to alterate because they just looking at the power is not gonna give you the best picture. I think doing actual comparison um between multiple E skill is the best case scenario. That's why I am preparing that like the E skill power testing to see how we're looking at because all these will say SABC power like what do they actually mean, right? So that's why I am preparing that video as of right now. So alright, in terms of the beam rifle over here, this time around we actually did have a high new beam rifle over here. In terms of the stat coming from the beam rifle category or the rifle category, not too bad. Currently the highest one, like the highest beam rifle shot attack is coming out from Kasai Gundam, coming in I would say 12k, which is not too bad. Like I think only 700 of a difference is not the biggest difference in a way. So I think just like using this one could be good. But like I said, this one does have its flaw because this one you can only use the first portrait after first 15 seconds has passed. So this is a pretty similar situation to the unicorn as well. So this is more for like a longer type event for like a 1v1 arena. It's not gonna be the best case scenario. The second portrait is going to be locked to that backpack EXQ, so you are looking at a little bit of a restriction. So just because of this, I don't think this is something you want to be using over here. But this is not to knock it out. This is still pretty good of a B route to be using. In terms of the portrait, vortex, excuse me, you are looking at Commander and Federation. So this one does want you to run Federation over Ace exclusive, which is not the best case scenario. I think Ace exclusive has to be a main shop build tag. So all right, now looking at the hyper bazooka or the new bazooka over here. The new bazooka does have a tag of high power, not high power, commander and gundam type over here. In terms of the portrait over here, you are looking at the same condition as the beam rifle. The back part ESQ boosted by 35%. Instead of in the first portrait, you are looking at one of those like enemy shooting power reduced by 30%. So this is I think for a more defensive build over here. I think just because you have this kind of first portrait, I think you can use this more reliably if you want to like completely block up your enemy from doing any damage. So I think if you are someone who is doing like a defensive type build, or if you're someone who is trying to use like a 100% enemy power down or whatsoever, I think this can be a good option. Like because there are a lot of these kind of e-skill portrait already. So in my opinion, I wouldn't use this kind of portrait over here. Maybe some of you guys do like it, but this one like one it's not too bad, right? I think it just gives you a little bit more playability in terms of like what kind of event you can take this onto. All right, in terms of the last weapon over here, the shield does have an E skill. This is the beam cannon. The original high new does have a E skill of the same manner, but that one is called a beam gun. This one shoot 2 rounds. I did a high new. The other one shoot 3 rounds. I think pre-alteration is pretty good already, but the only thing you're gonna be suffering is gonna be the magazine. Because pre-alteration you are looking at only 4 shots of magazine, which is not ideal. I think having 8 rounds of magazine is gonna carry you through a lot of events. But in terms of like power wise, I think just having unalterated is just fine rating. I think the most carrier is just like the amount of magazine you can carry. So you do get maxed up to 11th magazine after getting to level 10, but base level is sufficient already. I have done testing on both versions already. I think this one does come up to be a pretty close number, I would say. Pretty close number. So I think it's safe to say that an alteration for this one is fairly fine already. So I would say overall the Hanyu Gundam is okay. Is I think having that commander tag in most case scenario is gonna be a lot more helpful. But after looking at the portrait, I think some of them are a little bit more mediocre than the unicorn. Just that is just my take on it. Um, like the chest, I would definitely highly recommend it. But other than that, like the leg is a is a big disappointment. I think the other one are kind of okay as well. They're just barely okay. Oh, did I not go over the beam saber? Yes, yikes, my bad. So, in terms of beam saber, it's not too bad. I think the beam saber currently is the highest shot attack just based for the saber category over here. I think most case scenario you will want to sub slot this one, do something that kind of give you like ace exclusive. But I think if you want to alteration, if you want to alter this one for the for that shot attack, I think it's a good option, I would say. So overall, I think I'll still stay to my I still say that the high new would be the better kick or the better take. You want to alter something, but for aesthetic pleasing wise, I think the unicorn is gonna take it for this one over here. So, do let me know if you guys are summoning which one of the two you might be going onto. But I think I am gonna tell people to like kind of hold up until the 2-year anniversary, just to see what they are gonna be dropping because most cases the 2-year anniversary unit should be decently well. So, with that being said, this has been a pretty long review over here. So hopefully you guys do enjoy it, and then I will catch you guys all on the next one.